For centuries, humans believed dragons were only myths, old stories written by terrified ancestors. But then the sky changed. A sound like the tearing of the world ripped through the night. Every living creature froze, dogs howled, birds dropped from the sky, and a strange burning fog rolled over the cities. In the middle of this chaos, one human Aaron, Malik, a quiet mechanic, looked up and saw something impossible. A giant shadow with wings wider than streets, eyes glowing like molten gold, descending from the clouds like a falling star. And then the impossible happened. The dragon looked directly at him, not at the army, not at the helicopters, not at the screaming crowds. At him, and in a voice older than mountains, it whispered into his mind, "Human, why did your kind abandon our promise?" The world didn't know it yet, but dragons had come back, and they were not here for peace. For thousands of years. Humans believed dragons were only stories. Legends told around firelight, paintings on broken walls, whispers passed from elders to children. Nobody truly expected them to return, not in this world filled with tall cities and fast machines. Not in a sky ruled by airplanes and satellites, but on one silent night. Everything changed. It began with a sound, not thunder, not an earthquake, not any noise humans had heard before. It was a deep, tearing sound, like the sky itself was ripping open, like someone was cutting the world with an invisible blade. People came out of their homes. Dogs barked wildly. Birds scattered in every direction. Even the streetlights flickered as if afraid. And standing on the roof of a small apartment building was Aaron Malik, a simple mechanic, a quiet man who fixed broken engines and minded his own life. He raised his head, froze, because high above the city, something enormous moved behind the clouds, a shadow so large it covered half the sky, wings stretching wider than any aircraft Aaron had ever seen, eyes glowing like fire trapped inside gold. The shadow descended slowly, breaking through the clouds with a force that sent winds rushing through the streets. People screamed, cars crashed into each other, helicopters scrambled into the air, but the creature kept coming down, lower and lower and lower, until Aaron finally saw it clearly. A dragon, not a small one, not the size of a truck or a house, but a giant, a living mountain of red gold scales that shimmered like heated iron. Wings so vast they seemed to push aside the wind itself, claws that could crush buildings. A tail like a burning comet trailing sparks through the air. The dragon landed on the rooftop next to Aaron. The concrete cracked under its weight, dust exploded upward. Heat washed over him like standing beside a furnace. Aaron stumbled back, heart pounding. His legs were shaking so much he thought he would fall. But the dragon was not looking at the city, not at the army jets flying toward it, not at the news drones capturing every moment. It was looking directly at Aaron, as if searching for him, as if it had crossed worlds only for this moment. Aaron couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, couldn't run. He just stood frozen in place, a tiny human in front of a creature older than nations. Then the dragon blinked, and Aaron heard a voice, not through his ears, but inside his mind, a deep voice echoing like the sound of mountains shifting human. Aaron gasped. His mind felt like it was shaking apart, but the voice continued. Slow, heavy, filled with anger and something like sorrow. "Why did your kind abandon our promise?" Aaron's heart stopped. He didn't understand. He didn't even know dragons had ever spoken to humans, but the dragon's voice grew sharper, more painful, every word shaking him from the inside. "Why did you seal us away? Why did you erase us from your history?" Aaron stepped back, terrified. I don't know what you're talking about," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Barely human, the dragon leaned closer, its golden eyes glowing like miniature suns. Heat radiated from its breath. Sparks danced around its teeth. But it did not roar. It did not attack. Instead, it lowered its head until its burning horn hovered just inches from Aaron's forehead. Aaron wanted to run, wanted to scream, but something held him still. Some strange ancient force, some connection he did not understand then. The dragon touched him. A flash of blinding light exploded around Aaron. The city disappeared. The rooftop vanished. The night sky faded into darkness. Aaron found himself standing in a strange world of fire and memory, a world where time moved like smoke and history lived inside the flames. He saw visions, not dreams, not imagination, real memories from ages long gone. He saw humans and dragons flying together. He saw shining armor on human warriors riding on dragon backs. He saw ancient cities built by both species. He saw monsters from dark mountains attacking. And he saw humans and dragons fighting side by side, protecting each other, sharing a bond deeper than blood. But then, the visions changed. He saw betrayal. Humans forming a secret order, casting forbidden magic, building a seal, a barrier to trap dragons in another realm, to steal their power and hide the truth. Dragons were locked away, forgotten, abandoned, used as myths so humans would never remember the truth. And now, the seal was broken, the dragons had returned, and they remembered everything. The memories vanished, the rooftop returned. And Aaron collapsed to his knees. Shaking, gasping for breath, the dragon stared down at him, its voice softer now, but filled with a rage older than empires. "You are the one who must answer," it said, "for the ancient promise your kind broke." Aaron didn't understand. He didn't know about any promise, he didn't know about any betrayal, but the dragon believed it. And the world would soon learn the truth, because dragons had come back, and they were not here for peace. And Aaron Malik had become the first human they chose to confront. The first piece in a story that would decide the fate of the world. And he had no idea why, not yet. But he was about to find out. Aaron Malik lay on the cracked rooftop, his fingers trembling as he tried to breathe. His mind felt heavy, stuffed with images that didn't belong to him. Old battles, ancient cities, giant flying shapes moving across glowing skies, memories he had never lived. But memories he now felt. The dragon stood over him like a living mountain of fire and shadow, its enormous wings folded tightly against its body. Its eyes, those burning gold eyes, never leaving him, as if studying every heartbeat, every breath, every fear inside him. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The city below was chaos. Sirens wailed, helicopters circled like frightened insects. Soldiers shouted orders from distant rooftops, but none of that mattered. Not to the dragon, not to Aaron. The connection between them held everything else away. Like time itself had paused to watch what would happen next. Finally, Aaron forced himself to speak. His voice cracked, weak. "What? What did you show me?" The dragon didn't answer immediately. Instead, it lowered its head again, its horn glowing softly, less threatening now. More like a torch from another world, lighting truths hidden for thousands of years. When the dragon finally spoke, its voice echoed inside Aaron's mind like a calm storm. "I showed you what your ancestors tried to erase." Aaron shivered. He had never believed in magic, never believed in lost worlds or ancient pacts. He fixed machines. Not myths, but the visions he had seen. "They felt real, too real, those people," Aaron whispered. "The ones sealing you away." "Who were they?" The dragon's throat rumbled, a deep sound like distant thunder. "Not anger, pain. They were humans." The dragon said, "But not ordinary ones. They were the ancients. The rulers of the old world." Aaron tried to process that. Images flashed in his head again. Long robes, glowing runes, humans standing in a circle of fire, a giant dragon roaring as the seal closed around it. His chest tightened as he remembered the fear in those visions. Fear he could feel as if it were his own. Why would humans do that? Aaron asked, "Why betray dragons? You were allies. Friends?" The dragon stepped closer. Heat radiated from its scales like a living furnace. But Aaron didn't move away this time. Something about this creature, its voice, its sadness, made him feel a strange pull, like a truth was asking to be heard. "Greed," the dragon answered. "Power. And fear of what they could not control." The dragon lifted its head toward the sky, looking at the stars hidden behind city smoke, as if searching for memories among them. "The ancients desired dragon power," it said, "our fire, our strength, our long life, our connection to the earth. But when we refused to become their weapons, They turned against us. Aaron swallowed hard. He felt the truth in the dragon's words, not because the dragon forced it into his mind, but because the memories had already shown him humans standing with dragons, then humans turning on dragons. Breaking a bond older than any history book, Aaron rubbed his temples. His head felt like it was carrying the weight of centuries. And the seal, he asked, what was that? The dragon's eyes narrowed. Golden flames swirled inside them. The ancients created a barrier, it said, a prison, to trap us in a realm between worlds, a place of silence, darkness, and endless time. A chill ran down Aaron's spine, even though the dragon radiated heat like a firestorm. The description of that prison felt cold, too cold, thousands of years. Aaron whispered, "You were trapped. For thousands of years?" Time works differently in the sealed realm. The dragon's voice shook with old rage. We slept, we woke, we dreamed. We suffered, but we never forgot. Aaron stared at the dragon for the first time. He felt something other than fear. He felt pity and guilt. Guilt for something he hadn't done. But something humans had done long before he existed. How did you escape? Aaron asked, what broke the seal? The dragon's wings twitched. Sparks fell from its scales like tiny burning stars. The world changed, it said. Your machines, your energy, your constant tearing of the earth. You weakened the fabric of the seal with your progress. Aaron blinked. He had never thought drilling, mining, or building could break magic. But the way the dragon said it made it feel obvious. Humans weren't just changing the planet. They were tearing open ancient wounds. The seal cracked, the dragon continued, and we forced our way out. Aaron's breath caught in his throat, and now, "You're back," he whispered, "and you're angry." The dragon lowered its head. Its voice dropped to a whisper that shook Aaron's bones. "We are not here for revenge." A pause, a long, heavy pause. Yet Aaron felt the air tighten around him. A pressure like the sky was collapsing. The dragon leaned closer, its breath rolling over him like flame and thunder. "But we seek answers," it said. "We seek the descendants of the Guardian clan." Aaron frowned, confused. Guardian. Clan. The dragon's eyes locked onto his, its gaze sharp as a blade. "Yes," the voice echoed. "The humans who protected us." Before the betrayal, Aaron felt his heart skip. He didn't know why, but the dragon was staring at him differently now. Not with anger, but with recognition, as if it had found something. Something important. Something impossible. The dragon's next words made Aaron's blood run cold. "And you, Aaron Malik." The world around him seemed to freeze, carry their blood. The rooftop suddenly felt too small. Too quiet, too close to danger. Aaron was no longer just a random human. He was connected to a forgotten past. A past dragons remembered with fire. A past humans buried in lies, and now the truth had come back, with wings of flame and eyes of gold. Everything was about to change. Asterisk, the dragon's words echoed inside Aaron's mind long after they were spoken. His heart thumped so loudly, he could hear it over the distant sirens, over the vibrations of military helicopters slicing through the sky, over the sound of the city slowly waking into panic and fear. He carried the blood of the Guardian clan, a name he had never heard before tonight. A name the dragon spoke with ancient weight, as if it were something sacred, something powerful, something dangerous. Aaron stared at the dragon, his voice barely holding together. "What do you want from me?" The dragon didn't respond immediately. Its eyes shifted upward. Scanning the clouds, its nostrils flared. Its wings twitched, like it sensed something approaching. Something unwelcome. Then it spoke with a low growl rumbling through Aaron's bones. "It is not only what I want." A gust of hot breath blew across Aaron's face. "But what the others will demand?" Before Aaron could ask what that meant, the night sky erupted with the roar of engines. Helicopters swooped in from all directions, their bright spotlights locking onto the dragon like hunting beams. Soldiers shouted through loudspeakers, "Do not move. Stay where you are." But they were not talking to Aaron. They were yelling at the dragon, their weapons pointed upward. Their fingers trembling on triggers, The dragon slowly turned its head to glare at the incoming machines. The streetlights below flickered as if afraid. Even the wind seemed to shift away from the creature's rage. Aaron lifted his hands instinctively. No, wait. Don't attack. You don't understand. But humans rarely listened to reason when fear ruled their hearts. The first missile launched, a streak of fire slicing through the night. A sound that cracked open the air like a thunderstrike. Aaron screamed, "No!" The dragon didn't flinch. It opened its wings in one smooth motion. A blast of hot wind slammed across the rooftop, and the missile hit. But instead of exploding, it melted. The metal turned to glowing liquid before it even touched the dragon's scales, dripping harmlessly onto the rooftop. Another missile fired, and another, all disintegrating in midair, all failing before they even made contact. The dragon's voice rumbled with irritated disappointment. "Your weapons are just as foolish as they were centuries ago," Aaron watched in shock. The dragon wasn't even trying to fight. It was simply standing still, letting the missiles destroy themselves against its heat. But the helicopters kept coming. Jets streaked across the sky. The entire military seemed to be moving into position. "Why are they attacking you?" Aaron whispered. He already knew the answer. Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the impossible. The dragon turned back to him. "Because they think we came to conquer," it said. "And if they continue their mindless attacks?" The golden fire in its eyes deepened. "They will force us to become what they fear." Aaron's stomach tightened. He didn't want to imagine what a dragon war looked like. He had seen enough in the visions. Entire mountains burning, skies breaking apart, cities glowing red with destruction. A loud cracking sound shook the rooftop. Aaron grabbed onto a metal beam as the building trembled. Not from the dragon, but from something else. In the far distance, a massive explosion lit up the night. It wasn't a bomb. It came from underground. From beneath the earth itself, a shockwave followed. Windows shattered across the city. People screamed. Cars flipped. Birds dropped out of the air like falling rain. The dragon's wings shot open. Its head snapped toward the explosion. Its voice turned sharp, urgent. "They are waking." Aaron blinked in confusion. Who? Who is waking? But before the dragon could answer, a second explosion erupted. This time, from the ocean far beyond the city. A geyser of fire and water blasted upward, larger than any natural eruption. The news drones immediately turned their cameras. People around the world watched in terror, and from the fiery ocean spray, a shape emerged, another dragon, but this one was blue. Its wings crackled with electricity. Lightning danced across its scales like living veins. Its roar echoed through the city like a crashing storm. Aaron stepped back, his legs nearly giving out. "There's more of you." The red dragon turned toward him. "There are thousands." Aaron felt the air leave his lungs. Thousands. Thousands of dragons. Free again after centuries of imprisonment. Humans did not stand a chance. Not with guns, not with missiles. Not with anything they had today. The red dragon moved closer to Aaron. Towering above him, as shadows stretched across the rooftop. "Listen to me," it said, its voice urgent, heavy. "The others will not be as patient as I am. They do not seek answers. They seek justice." Aaron stared hopelessly at the distant sky. Dragons rising from oceans, dragons bursting from mountains, dragons emerging from old forests, dragons awakening everywhere. The world was changing faster than humans could understand or react. Fear rushed through Aaron's body. Not fear for himself, but fear for everyone below. Fear for the world he knew. Fear for humanity's future. He looked up at the dragon. Jaw tight, hands shaking, voice trembling. "What do I have to do?" The dragon lowered its massive head, its eyes softening for the first time, as if this was the question it had been waiting for. "You must come with me," it said. "Before the others find you first." Adine swallowed hard. He had expected anything. Death, destruction, chaos, but not this. Not being chosen? Still, he nodded, because he could feel the truth deep inside him. He was involved now, whether he wanted to be or not. The dragon crouched down, its wings spreading wide. The rooftop trembling beneath its weight. "Climb on," it said. "Your life is no longer ordinary." Aaron stepped forward. One hesitant step at a time, not knowing where this journey would lead, not knowing if he would ever return, but as he reached for the dragon's scales, a third explosion echoed across the world, this time from the mountains in the north. Dragons had woken, and the hunt had truly begun. Aaron's hand hovered inches above the dragon's glowing scales. His fingers trembled, his breath shook, and for a moment he wondered if touching the creature would burn him alive. The heat rising from the dragon's body was overwhelming, like standing in front of a roaring furnace. Yet there was something else beneath that heat, a strange, calm energy, something that called to him. Something ancient, something familiar. He took a slow breath, closed his eyes, and placed his hand on the dragon's side instead of pain. He felt warmth, deep, powerful warmth, like sunlight touching skin after a cold night. The dragon lowered itself to the rooftop, its wings folding tightly as if ready to shield him. "Climb," it said, its voice echoing inside Aaron's mind like soft thunder. Aaron swallowed hard and climbed onto the dragon's back. Gripping the ridges between its scales, his heart raced, but he didn't fall. The scales were rough and solid, like gripping stone carved by a god. Before he could settle, the dragon launched, itself upward, its massive wings slamming downward with the force of a storm. Wind blasted across the rooftop, cracks spread across the concrete, and the city fell away beneath them. Aaron gasped as they soared into the sky, the world shrinking. Below, buildings turning to shapes, cars turning to ants, and the night air cutting against his face like icy blades. He held on tightly. But the dragon's voice reached him again, calm, steady. "Do not fear, human. You will not fall." As they climbed higher, Aaron saw the chaos spreading across the world, dragons emerging from mountains, from oceans, from forests older than any civilization, each one unleashing storms, flames, and raw power. Military jets streaked through the sky, but they were nothing. Their weapons were useless. Their missiles melted or exploded prematurely. Their formation broke apart whenever dragons roared. Aaron could see it clearly. Humanity was losing, and the war hadn't even begun. A deep feeling of dread settled in his chest. "Where are you taking me?" He shouted over the wind. The dragon angled its wings, gliding over the burning city. "Somewhere safe. Somewhere the others will not sense you." And Aaron didn't like how the dragon said that. He didn't like the word sense. It made him feel like prey, like something being hunted. He tightened his grip. "What do you mean? Why would other dragons come after me?" The dragon answered with a heavy exhale of smoke. "Because you carry the blood of the Guardian clan. Because your existence threatens everything they wish to do." Aaron blinked, trying to understand. "I don't even know what that clan is. I'm just a mechanic. I fix engines, not dragons." The dragon's wings adjusted, steadying their flight. Its voice grew softer, almost patient. "The Guardian clan were the protectors of dragons. They stood between us and the ancients. When the betrayal happened, the Guardians tried to stop it." Aaron felt a strange pressure in his chest, like his heartbeat didn't belong to him anymore, like something old inside him was trying to wake up. "What happened to them?" he asked quietly. The dragon's answer came with sorrow as deep as the sky. "They were wiped out. Hunted by humans who wanted dragons sealed forever. Every guardian except one child disappeared." Aaron's breath caught in his throat. A chill ran through his body even though the dragon burned like fire beneath him. "You're saying I'm a descendant of that last child," the dragon completed for him. The final living thread of the ancient promise between humans and dragons. The words felt unreal, impossible, but Aaron couldn't deny the visions he had seen. A strange warmth inside his body. The way the dragon looked at him, not as prey, not as a threat, but as something important.
Aaron
Rubbed his forehead, his thoughts spinning. "So what do I do? Why does it matter?" The dragon flew beyond the burning city over a dark forest. over rivers reflecting fire-colored light, because dragons no longer trust humans, it said, and without a guardian. It paused, the air around them suddenly feeling colder. My kind will choose war. Aaron's stomach twisted. He looked down at the world, at burning streets. Falling helicopters, people running through smoke, and dragons rising like gods of destruction. War would end everything. Humanity would not survive. He looked down. At his trembling hands, I don't know anything about being a guardian. I'm not a warrior. I'm not a leader. Not the dragon cut him off. Its roar shaking the sky. Not in anger, but in power. You are the last of your line. The world does not choose who is ready. It only chooses who is needed. Aaron swallowed. The words hit him harder than he expected. The dragon continued, You will learn, human. I will teach you. But we must move quickly. Why? Aaron asked, fear tightening in his throat. The dragon banked sharply, flying toward a shadowed valley hidden beneath mountains, because the Storm King has awakened. Aaron froze. He didn't know the name, but the way the dragon spoke it sent chills through his bones. Who is that? The dragon's voice darkened with dread. The one who hates humans most. The one who will come for you first. Lightning flashed in the far distance. A roar rolled through the clouds. A sound so colossal that the mountains trembled beneath it. The dragon whispered one final sentence. The sentence that sealed Aaron's fate. We must reach shelter, before Vorith finds you. Asterisk, the dragon flew fast, much faster than any aircraft Aaron had ever seen. Wind rushed past him like icy knives. The world below blurred into dark shapes and glowing lines in every few seconds. Distant thunder rumbled from the north, but it wasn't thunder. It was Vorath, the Storm King. A dragon whose roar split the sky like a lightning strike. Aaron could feel the vibrations through the dragon's scales, through his bones, through his entire body. It was like being caught between a storm and a nightmare as they entered a hidden valley between jagged mountains. The red dragon suddenly folded its wings and dropped, falling fast, falling deep. Into a cavern hidden beneath a curtain of waterfalls, Aaron held on tightly as cold. Mist covered him, then the dragon landed inside the enormous cave, its wings brushing the stone walls like curtains of fire. The cave was breathtaking. Glowing crystals clung to the walls like frozen stars. Rivers of molten light flowed through. Cracks in the floor, ancient markings carved into stone, glowed faintly as if waking. Aaron stepped off the dragon's back, his legs shaking, his hands trembling, his heartbeat loud in the silent cave. What is this place? He whispered. The dragon lowered its head. This is the Sanctuary of Embers. A place built by your ancestors. Aaron blinked in disbelief. My ancestors, the Guardian clan. The dragon nodded. Yes, this is where they trained. Where they formed the pact between humans and dragons. Aaron turned slowly. Staring at the ancient symbols glowing along the cave walls, he didn't understand them, but they felt familiar, like a memory he couldn't reach. The dragon stepped closer, its golden eyes glowing like suns trapped behind flames. Aaron Malik. You must survive the fire trial. Aaron froze, his breath caught. What? The dragon's voice grew deeper, heavier, almost ceremonial. To awaken the power in your blood, you must face the fire. Only the true descendant of the Guardians can withstand it. Aaron stepped back, fear rising in his throat. What happens if I can't? The dragon hesitated before answering. A long, heavy silence. Then your body will turn to ash. Aaron's stomach dropped. His hands turned cold, his knees weakened. You're asking me to walk into fire? He whispered. I'm a mechanic, not built for this. The dragon lowered its head until its eyes met his. Its voice softer, but unshakably firm. You are not the mechanic tonight. You are the last guardian. Aaron swallowed hard. The word guardian didn't feel like something he deserved. He was scared, he was confused, he wanted to run, but he couldn't, not now. It's not when the world outside was falling apart, not when dragons were awakening everywhere, not when Vorith was hunting him. The dragon stepped aside, revealing a massive circle carved into the stone floor, a circular pit filled with swirling fire, blue and gold flames rising like living creatures. Dancing like spirits from another world, Aaron felt heat hit his face immediately. It wasn't normal heat. It wasn't the feeling of standing near a campfire. It was ancient, powerful, alive. His legs trembled. "I can't survive that," he whispered. "No one can." The dragon answered simply, "A guardian can." Aaron stared at the flames, and the flames stared back, as if recognizing him, as if waiting for him. He took a step forward, then another, then stopped. "What if I'm not who you think I am?" He said quietly. "What if the bloodline ended long ago? What if I'm just normal?" The dragon's tail curled around him gently, not forcefully, but supportively. "Your fear is natural. But power does not awaken in comfort." Aaron took a deep breath. He looked at the fire again. He looked at his shaking hands. He looked at the dragon who believed in him. And then he stepped into the fire. The moment his foot touched the flames, pain shot through his body, a burning sensation so intense he screamed. The fire wrapped around his legs, his arms, his chest. Like molten chains trying to break him, he fell to his knees, his hands digging into the burning stone. The flames roared around him, trying to consume him, trying to erase him. "Stop. I can't." His voice cracked, his vision blurred, but something deep inside him, something old, something buried, awoke. A spark inside his chest, a glow under his skin, a warmth that wasn't fire, but power. The flames changed color, turning white, then gold. Then a soft glowing red that wrapped around him like light embracing a forgotten friend. Aaron gasped. The pain faded. The fire no longer burned him. It accepted him. Energy surged through his body. He felt stronger, clearer, more awake than he had ever felt, like he had opened eyes he didn't know he had. The dragon stepped forward, his voice filled with awe. "You survived. You are truly the last guardian." Aaron rose slowly from the flames, fire swirling around him like a cloak of light. His eyes glowing faintly with an ember-red hue. He felt different. He felt alive. He felt powerful. But before he could speak, a roar split through the cave. A roar that made the walls shake, rocks fall, crystals crack. The dragon's wings snapped open, its voice filled with alarm. "Voroth is here." Lightning lit up the entrance of the cave, and the Storm King's massive silhouette appeared, wings crackling with electricity, eyes burning with hatred. He had found them, and he was ready for war. Asterix lightning flashed at the entrance of the cavern. Bright white light split through the shadows. Thunder rolled through the mountain like a living beast, and the air turned cold, far colder than fire should ever allow. Aaron staggered back, still glowing faintly from the fire trial, his body trembling from the power he had awakened, but nothing prepared him for the monster stepping into the cave. Voroth, the Storm King, the dragon who ruled lightning itself. He was enormous, twice the size of the red dragon, scales dark blue like storm clouds, wings crackling with electric veins, eyes glowing a violent white. And every step he took sent sparks crawling across the stone floor. Aaron felt the hair on his arms rise. Static electricity filled the air. Every breath tasted like the moment before lightning strikes. Sharp, metallic, dangerous, Kelthur, the red dragon, stepped in front of Aaron. Wings spread wide, heat radiating across the cave like a shield of fire. His voice thundered across the chamber. "Voroth, you have no place here," Voroth growled, the sound deep and rumbling, the sound of a storm waking from centuries of rage. "You hide a human in the sanctuary." His voice echoed like echoing thunder cracks. "You disgrace our kind, Kelthur." Aaron froze. The hatred in Voroth's voice was sharp. Sharp enough to cut stone? He stared directly at Aaron, not at Kelthur. Not at the cave, not at the awakened flames, at him. Like Aaron was the single reason for the world's suffering. Kelthur roared back, fire bursting from his mouth in a blazing wave. But Voroth didn't flinch. "The guardian blood lives," Voroth hissed, lightning flickering between his teeth. "I can smell it." Aaron's heart raced. His body felt suddenly smaller, weaker. He tried to move, but his legs wouldn't listen. Every instinct screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. Voroth took a step forward, his wings scraping the cave walls. Sparks raining down like angry stars, hand over the boy. "Kelthur, Let me finish what the ancients began. Kelthar growled, You want war, Vorth. I want truth. Killing him will destroy the last chance for peace. Vorath roared, yes roared. The sound shook loose rocks from the ceiling. Crystals cracked and burst into shards. The entire mountain trembled. There is no peace with humans. Vorath shouted. They trapped us for centuries. They stole our power. They tried to erase us. His voice struck Aaron like a physical blow, filled with grief, filled with fury, filled with an ancient wound that had never healed. Kelthar stepped forward, placing himself firmly between Vorith and Aaron. Only the Guardian can stop the war. Only he can speak the old words. Only he can prevent the destruction you crave. Vorath's wings flared wide. Lightning arcing between the tips like snapping whips, the Guardian clan died for a reason. And this child will die with them. Aaron stumbled back, fear freezing his lungs. Vorith lowered his head. Lightning gathering in his throat, a bright, deadly glow building. Aaron whispered, Please. Please stop. But his voice was lost under the growing crackle of power. Suddenly, Kelthar roared, a burst of fire exploding from his jaws. Meeting Vorith's lightning midair, the two forces collided with a deafening blast. The explosion lit up the cavern like a star. Shockwaves blasted Aaron off his feet. He crashed onto the stone floor. The world spinning, ears ringing, vision blurring. Kelthar leaped in front of him, taking the full impact of Vorath's lightning. The smell of scorched scales filled the air. Kelthar roared in pain but didn't fall. Aaron crawled toward him, no stop. You'll die. But Kelthar shoved him back with a wing. Run if you can. Do not let him touch you. Vorath lunged forward, lightning swirling around him like a hurricane. Kelthar met him in the center of the cave, fire and storm clashing in a spectacular explosion of power. Aaron watched helplessly, two ancient forces tearing into each other. The cave shaking, walls cracking, boulders falling, flame and lightning lighting the darkness. Vorith snapped at Kelthar's neck. Kelthar countered with a blast of fire. The Storm King smashed his tail into the red dragon's ribs. Kelthar slammed him into the wall. The battle was brutal, fast, violent, a war contained inside stone. Aaron forced himself to stand, his legs shaking, his body still glowing faintly from the fire trial. Stop, he shouted, his voice echoing strangely, deeper, stronger for a moment. Both dragons paused, turning their heads toward him. His eyes glowed faintly red, his body radiating heat like low flames. Kelthar stared at him in shock. The fire. It's already inside you. Vorith snarled, lightning crackling more violently now, you see. He becomes like them. Their power corrupts everything. Aaron shook his head. No. I don't want power, I want this to stop. Vorith roared, a roar filled with centuries of hatred. Then lunged straight toward Aaron. Kelthar moved too slow. The cave was shaking. The fight had drained him. Vorith opened his jaws. Lightning screaming toward Aaron, ready to end the Guardian line forever. Aaron raised his hands, not in defense, but in instinct. Fire erupted, bright, blinding fire, a shield of light that burst between him and Vorath. The lightning hit and stopped. Vorith roared in disbelief. Kelthar froze. Aaron stared at his hands, flames dancing around them. Power he didn't understand, pouring out of him. He wasn't just chosen. The fire had awakened, and now the war had truly begun. The blast of fire pouring from Aaron's hands glowed so bright that even the cave shadows vanished. Vorith's lightning clashed against it in a shower of sparks. The two forces collided like thunder hitting the sun, and for the first time the Storm King was pushed back. Vorath skidded across the stone, digging claw marks into the ground. His wings crackled violently with electricity. His eyes widened, not with rage this time, but with shock. Impossible. He growled, his voice shaking with disbelief. No human should hold that power. Kelthar struggled to stand beside Aaron, his scales scorched, smoke rising from deep claw wounds. But his voice carried pride, strength, and a faint tremor of awe. He survived the fire trial, Kelthar said. The Guardians lived through him. Aaron stared at his own hands. flames dancing around them like threads of living light. He felt heat, yes, but not pain. The fire felt like part of him. Like a long sleeping strength that finally opened its eyes, but fear still tightened in his chest. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't trained. He didn't know how to control any of this. He took a shaky breath. "No more fighting," he said. "Please. Just stop." But Vorath only laughed, a cold, stormy sound that vibrated through the cave walls. "You think you can command me, child?" Lightning surged across his wings, filling the cave with crackling white light. "I will end you. Then I will end every human who walks this world." And he charged, dragging an unstoppable wave of lightning behind him. Kelthor leaped into the path, his roar shaking the mountain. Fire exploded from his mouth in a blazing shield. But Vorath smashed through it, slamming Kelthor against the stone wall. The impact shook the cave. Dust rained from above. Cracks spread across the ceiling. "Kelthor," Aaron shouted, but the red dragon didn't respond. His body lay half buried in rubble. Smoke rising from his wounds, Vorath turned back toward Aaron. Lightning swirling around him in a spiraling storm. "Alone now." His voice rumbled like thunder crawling across the sky, just like your ancestors. "Before they died?" Adin clenched his fists, the flames around them flickering brighter. Anger rose inside him, fear twisted into something stronger. Something sharper. He stepped forward. Heat building beneath his skin, the fire responding to his heartbeat. Vorath roared and lunged again, lightning erupting from his jaws. Aaron raised his arms. Flames burst outward. The two forces crashed together again. This time, Aaron held his ground, his boots scraping against the stone, sweat dripping down his face. His muscles shaking under the pressure, but he didn't fall. "Not this time," Vorath snarled, pushing harder. The lightning growing brighter, deadlier. The air vibrating so violently it hurt to breathe. Aaron felt his strength fading, his legs buckling, his fire weakening, his body screaming for relief, and then he heard it. A faint whisper inside his mind. Soft, ancient, familiar, used the guardian words. It wasn't Kelthor's voice. It wasn't his own voice. It was something older. A remnant of the guardian bloodline, awakening inside him. Aaron didn't understand the words, but he felt them. Like a memory passed through generations. Waiting for this exact moment, he opened his mouth. And the words formed on their own, Virus Ignara. Stalkar Ainum. The cave shook. The fire around Aaron surged upward like a rising sun. Vorath reeled back in shock, lightning breaking apart under the force of the ancient command. Aaron stepped forward, his body glowing with red-gold flames. His voice echoing with power, a power that did not belong to humans, nor dragons, but something shared between them. Vorath snarled, "What trick is this?" Aaron lifted his hand, fire swirling around his fingers like living ribbons. "This isn't a trick," he said quietly. "This is the pact your kind forgot." He thrust his hand forward. Fire surged outward in a massive wave. Not burning, but binding. Vorath screamed as the fire wrapped around his wings. His legs, his chest, forcing him back, pinning him against the far wall of the cave. The Storm King roared, lightning snapping wildly. But the fire held him firm, tightening like glowing chains. Aaron collapsed to one knee, breathing hard, the flames dimming slowly as exhaustion washed over him. He had used too much power, more than his body was ready for. Vorath struggled, snarling and roaring. Sparks crackling violently, but the fire chains held strong. Ancient magic burning into the stone beneath him, Kelthor staggered up from the rubble. Barely standing, but his eyes widened in awe. The Guardian command. His voice was weak, disbelieving. He used it. Without training? Aaron looked up at the bound Storm King. His chest rising and falling with every painful breath, he whispered, "It's over, Vorath. Stop this. Before the whole world burns." For a moment, just a moment, Vorath stopped fighting. He stared at Aaron not with pure hatred, but with confusion, fear, and something else. Recognition, but then his eyes narrowed, his voice low and full of promise. This changes nothing, boy. War is coming. Aaron's heart sank, because he knew Vorath wasn't lying. Dragons were awakening everywhere. Humans were preparing weapons, and even with his new power, he was just one person, a guardian, but still one human against an ancient storm. Kelthar moved beside him, lowering his head weakly. You stop the Storm King tonight, but the world will not wait. Aaron stared at the trembling cave, at the bound dragon, at the fire still glowing on his hands. He whispered, "What do we do now?" Kelthar answered with a heavy breath, "Now, we try to save both worlds." The cave fell silent after Vorath's final threat. Only the crackle of fading lightning echoed off the stone walls. Aaron knelt on the ground, breathing hard, sweat dripping from his face. His hands still glowing softly with ember-red fire. Vorath remained pinned against the cave wall, the burning chains tightening around him like living ropes of ancient magic. He pulled, he growled, he snarled with fury, but he could not break free for the first time in centuries. The Storm King was powerless. Kelthar stepped forward on shaky legs, his body covered in deep scorch marks, smoke curling off his scales. He lowered his head beside Aaron. A gesture both protective and proud. "You have done what no guardian has done in thousands of years," Kelthar said softly. "You commanded a Storm King." Aaron swallowed, his chest tight with exhaustion and fear. "I didn't know what I was doing," his voice cracked. "That power. It felt like it was using me." Kelthar's eyes softened. Ancient power chooses its wielder. "You did not force it. It answered you." Aaron looked down at his hands, at the faint red glow pulsing beneath his skin. It scared him, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. The fire felt natural, too natural, before Aaron could speak again. Thunder rolled across the mountains outside the cavern, not from Vorath, but from the world beyond. Kelthar stiffened, his wings tightening, his gaze sharpening toward the cave entrance. "They are coming." Aaron stood quickly, fear flooding his chest. "Who? More dragons?" Kelthar's voice dropped low. "Not dragons." A heavy silence followed. "Humans." Aaron's breath caught. He hurried to the edge of the cavern opening. Peering through cracks in the stone, helicopters swarmed the sky. Dozens. Then hundreds. Jets circled overhead like metallic predators. Searchlights cut through clouds and dust, and beneath them, columns of armored vehicles roared through the forest below. Missile trucks, tanks, mobile cannons, all moving toward the mountains the human world had awakened to. And it was terrified. Aaron's heart pounded. "We have to leave," he whispered. "If they see us, if they see you, they'll attack." Kelthar nodded slowly, but his gaze slid toward Vorath, still pinned against the cave wall, still roaring in frustration, still dangerous. "We cannot leave the Storm King here. If humans reach him, they will try to kill him." Aaron frowned. "That's bad." Kelthar closed his eyes for one heavy moment. His death will call the others. Dragons will rise in revenge. A cold weight settled in Aaron's stomach, so no matter what we do, someone starts a war. The cave trembled softly. Vorath was speaking again, his voice low, poisonous. "You see, Guardian?" His glowing eyes burned into Aaron's. "Humans march with weapons. They do not come to talk," he snarled. "Your kind is unchanged." Aaron turned away from Vorath, his jaw tightening. "I'm not like them." Vorath let out a roar of dark laughter. "You are them." Kelthar stepped between them, his tail flaring in agitation. "Enough." Aaron took a slow breath, his thoughts racing. Human armies outside, a bound Storm King inside, dragons awakening across the world, ancient magic burning beneath his skin. He felt small, too small for the weight of all this. But he couldn't break, not now, not after everything. He turned to Kelthar. "What do we do? How do we stop this before it becomes a war humans can't win and dragons can't forgive?" Kelthar lowered his head, the firelight reflecting off his damaged scales. His voice deep and steady. "You must speak to the dragons. All of them." Aaron blinked. "What?" "Me." Kelthar nodded. You hold the guardian command. The dragons will recognize your voice. Aaron stared into the cavern's burning light, his heart pounding, his thoughts screaming. I can barely control it, he whispered. How do you expect me to control dragons older than history? Kelthar leaned close, a comforting warmth washing over Aaron. You speak not as a master, but as a bridge between worlds. A deep rumble shook the ground beneath their feet. Dust falling from the cave ceiling, human engines roared closer. Shouts echoing through the valley, Voreth snarled and thrashed harder, his lightning cracking violently against the fire chains. Let them come, he roared. Let the humans die first. Aaron turned, anger rising inside him. No, no more death. The fire around his hands flared, glowing brighter, stronger. Kelthar watched silently, studying Aaron's rising power, his voice calm but heavy with meaning. Your next words will shape history, Aaron Malik. Say them carefully. Aaron stepped forward, facing the bound Storm King, facing the armies outside, facing both worlds pulling him from opposite sides. His voice shook, but his resolve did not. I won't let humans die, he said, and I won't let dragons die either. Kelthar bowed his head. Proud, hopeful, Voroth glared, conflicted. But listening, Aaron raised his hand. Fire shimmering around it, the cave grew silent. The world outside held its breath. Even the flames stopped flickering. Aaron whispered the ancient words, the ones buried in his blood, the ones waiting for this moment, by fire and storm. By earth and sky, I call for peace. A pulse of golden light spread through the cave. Across the valley, into the clouds above, dragons far across the world turned their heads, feeling the call, hearing the old magic awaken. And beneath the earth, deep in a darkness, older than dragons themselves, something stirred. Its roar vibrated through the mountains, through the rivers, through the world, a roar so ancient, so powerful, that both dragons and humans felt it in their bones. Kelthar's eyes widened in fear. Voreth fell silent. Aaron whispered, voice trembling. What? What was that? Kelthar slowly turned toward the trembling darkness deeper in the cave. His voice barely a breath, a nightmare older than dragons, and it has awakened. The peace Aaron called for was real, but the danger it awakened was far greater. The story wasn't ending. It was just beginning.